Okay, so in the last lecture, we uh, started with some more diode parameters like capacitance. Earlier to that, we have seen one important parameter called as resistance. Okay, so before this class, we have learned about resistance offered by a diode. There we saw that mainly there are two types of resistances which we define. One is for DC operating point and another is for AC small signal. We can also have a small signal, along with a small signal AC resistance. We can define average resistance for large signals. So those things already we have seen today. In the last lecture also we try to get accustomed with these two types of capacitances uh, which are offered by diode, okay, PN junction diode. So one capacitance we have seen is diffusion capacitance, and another capacitance we have seen was transition capacitance. So transition capacitance we have seen in detail, and it was given by epsilon A upon W. Okay, so these expressions already we have seen for the transition capacitance, that how we come to this epsilon A upon W. Uh, Another uh, capacitance which we see in forward bias, we call here as diffusion capacitance. This can be given by the charge storage capability of the PN junction in the forward bias. Okay, so just uh, this is only in a short how we can define the diffusion capacitance. In the earlier lecture we said we actually try to understand qualitatively from where the diffusion capacitance comes into picture. Okay, so there we have seen that in the PN junction we see huge injection of the charge carriers from P side to the N side and N side to the P side also. Okay, holes and electrons respectively, and once these carriers in large number, okay, they are also called as majority charge carriers. Okay, until they are in their respective regions. So hold this majority charge carrier from P side, if enters into the N side, then it becomes minority charge carrier. Okay, so once this hole enters into the N type of material, where in N type materials electrons are in majority, and holes which has been injected, they are treated as minority charge carriers once they enter into the N type. Similarly, the electrons from N side, if they enter into the P region, then these are also uh, just like minority charge carriers in the P type. So electron and holes which has been injected, they behave as if they are minority charge carriers, and they diffuse because of the concentration gradient we qualitatively tried to understand in the last lecture. So because this injection of charge carriers is continuing, so there becomes a kind of accumulation of the charges near to the junction here. Okay, so on this left side here, electrons we can see to be there. On the right side, on the other hand, okay, we can see holes to be accumulated, okay, which diffuse. So because of the concentration gradient, so a current starts to build up due to this diffusion, and the current, if we define this by I, and something called as tau here we can see is the mean lifetime of carriers. Carriers actually we are writing in general sense. The carriers are nothing but electrons or holes. So these are the mean lifetime of electron or holes, and they are not equal actually. The mean lifetime of electron and holes are different, and these in general we can represent by tau n and tau p. Here L is a actually distance through which we can see the decrease in the concentration of electrons by 1 upon E times. Okay, so that is L here, and this is called as diffusion length. So L is diffusion length. Diffusion length means the carriers are diffusing through a distance, and as they diffuse by a length L, and their concentration becomes 1 upon E times. So that particular distance we define as diffusion length. So in the terms of this diffusion length and mean this mean lifetime of carrier can be defined like this. D is the diffusion constant here. Okay, so this is the diffusion constant as we have seen. So so what happens, few carriers diffuse, and then okay, and with this distance, so we can define a current due to this, okay, equal to something like this, I is equal to q upon tau, and the diffusion capacitance we can define as rate of change of charge, okay, this injected charge with respect to the applied voltage, dq upon dv. So after substitution we can write these sub expressions here. Tau di upon db, tau is almost constant with respect to the voltage variations, so it is taken out of this derivative. Di upon db, we have seen this as a actually conductance kind of thing here. This is conductance or inverse of dynamic resistance. We have defined the dynamic resistance earlier as dB upon di. Okay, so this RD we have defined earlier. So this is nothing but this RD. Okay, so D subscript here has been dropped here for generality. So tau into Z, G is conductance, or R is dynamic resistance. So tau upon R we can write, and in place of dynamic resistance, we have seen that approximately we can write the dynamic resistance to be given by eta Vt upon Id plus I naught. Okay, so our dynamic resistance we have given this to be equal to eta Vt upon Id plus I naught, and if we assume that Id is greater than very very large as compared to this I naught, then this particular approximated equation comes into picture. Okay, so we can compute this as diffusion capacitance using this particular equation. To have a more insight about the kind of current we are talking about, let us go back and see elsewhere here. Here. Let me. I think some. Okay, now I think it should be visible. Okay. So diffusion capacitance. Okay, some details we can just see in this graph here. The graph is showing here the variation of the charge carriers in the P and N region. So we see here two types of carriers here. One is called minority carrier and another is called majority carrier. So in P-N junction here, why this is going up? Comment pencil, okay. So why it is not writing here? Okay. So we have say P and N type here. Materials put it together to form this PN junction. In the P type, we have acceptor ions to be doped, and in the N type, donor atoms to be doped. Okay. So in the P side, we have the holes in majority, and the hole constitution in this we can write to be equal to P. Okay, P is general representation for holes because they show the positive charge, P for positive and one negative. So the whole constitution in the P side, we write like this: P sub P is almost equal to Na, and in the P side, the minority charge carrier constitution, that is electron constitution in the P side, we can write as Ni square upon Na. Okay, similarly for the N type also we can define like this here, N, okay, for the majority charge carriers it may be almost equal to Nd, and that of the holes in the P type, that we can define as Ni square upon Nd. Okay, so these constitutions we can define here. So the first let us look at the right side curve here. This is showing the concentration of the charge carriers in the N side and P side, and that of the minority charge. Yes, injected charge carriers. Actually, these are the injected charge carriers. Okay, let us come back on this later on. Let us first look at the left side graph here. So here in this graph, we can see that the charge carriers has been injected from P side to the N side. So from here, the holes are injected here. Okay, so we can see here that the uh, junction is taken as a reference point. X is equal to 0 here, and all these measurements are done with respect to this here. So on the left side of this S equal to 0, we have the P type, and on the right side we have the N side. So whole constitution at x equal to 0 is given by P sub n 0. Okay. P sub n means actually these holes from the P side, they are injected into N side, and as soon as they become they enter into the N side, they become minority charge carriers. Okay, that's why we write here minority injection. So the minority charge has been injected into this, and at x equal to 0, its concentration is Pn0. So this Pn0 value may be actually seen to be equal to say whole concentration in the P type. So that is P sub P is equal to Na. This is the carriers which are being say injected in the N side. Similarly, the electrons from the N side, they are injected from into the P side. They can be given by this here. So again, these electrons, as soon as they enter into the N side here, sorry, electrons from this N side, if they enter into the P side, so they will become again minority charge carriers into the P, and their carrier concentration at S equal to 0 is given by N sub P at 0, at S equal to 0. Okay, so we can see the variation in the levels of this Pn0 and Np0. Um, so it is assumed here that the doping concentration acceptor atom is very large as compared to donor items. Okay, so this may be and the reason that's why it is shown like this. So in sometimes for simplicity we assume this kind of doping, because if this kind of doping is assumed, then only one type of carriers participate more to form the current as compared to the other. So we can actually just carry on the discussions with respect to a single carrier. So here whole concentration is more as compared to the electron. So we are say having the contribution due to the holes to the current is more, okay, as compared to the electrons. So that's what the simplicity is here. So in the equilibrium condition, the electron and hole constitutions are given by the N sub P and P sub N in the N and P regions. And in the bottom of these equations we can see here. So these are shown by NP0 and PN0. So PN0 and NP0, these are the these concentrations at equilibrium. So at equilibrium, this is shown by NP0 and PN0. So these are the values here. So some extra values, extra carriers have been injected into this, and that extra carriers are shown by PN dash and NP dash respectively. Okay, so PN dash and NP dash, these are the injected carriers which are minority in the after injection in the N and P regions respectively. Okay, so these actually carriers recombine and diffuse also uh, with time and form the current. The right hand side graph, we can now try to understand here what this is showing here. So um, before this injection, what we expect that at x is equal to 0, the hole concentration and electron concentrations are 0. And as we move away, we have these equilibrium concentrations. But now after injection, what we have? A huge amount of these carriers Pn0 and Np0 at the x equal to 0, and this actually uh, drops exponentially here. Almost this has been seen actually that this is exponential drop here. Okay, so we can actually, using these, we can compute the current, the diffusion current, okay, which result into the diffusion capacitance ultimately. So as stated earlier, that p side is heavily doped as compared to the n side, and so the current due to holes dominate. Okay, holes current dominate as compared to the electron current, and we say that current, total current is due to the hole current only, which are injected from p side to the n side. So we can actually find out the charge here, how much charge is there in this region. Just we can integrate this variation of minority charge carrier injected into this region, and find out the charge here. And from this, we can also find out the current. Current is given by this equation here. So the diffusion current is given by this equation here. So P dash 0 is the excess charge carrier concentration at x equal to 0, and this is given by this value. So this is excess minority charge carrier. So some carrier we are actually we have injected minus equilibrium concentration of the charge carriers, that we call as excess charge carrier. So this value at x is equal to 0 is p0, and p0 and this p0 is actually ni square upon nd. Okay, so these values we can use to compute this current, and in the computation of the diffusion capacitance, we have seen that it is equal to tau upon r, or tau z. Okay, and these were written as tau upon eta id into vt. So in place of this id here, we can compute the current from these equations here and substitute for this, and we can compute the CD. Okay, in this way. So this is how we can compute the diffusion capacitance. Okay, so these are just some mathematical details here. One can go through the book for more details. So if one is interested here, okay, else one can also skip.
Sir, which book do you suggest?
Okay, so this you can get from Millman Halkia's book.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Sir, actually,
and
I searched for this topic in that book, but I couldn't find. Can you please specify the page number if you know?
integrated electronics. Okay, page number. I hope you can see here. So that is not given again in detail, but you can go through these. Okay, charge control description of a diode. So how the charge is being controlled in a diode, so that you can see. Okay, so you have to associate all these things together. So current you can find out from here, and then this current actually is going to contribute towards these different questions. Okay, so in this way you can relate here. So here you can see the different questions relations, and you can go through all these. Okay, so only at this moment we should be able to understand the variations. Okay, and what is the qualitative uh, means origin of these particular effects. Okay, so at this particular moment this is enough. So mathematical details one can skip maybe, but if these relations are known as, then we can relate uh, these quantities with the physical phenomenon, okay, more efficiently. That's what it is. Okay, so here we see that the variation of this transition capacitance and the diffusion capacitance, both actually on the right side of this vertical axis, we can see that the total capacitance is CT plus CD, but in the forward bias case, the diffusion capacitance is very, very large as compared to the transition capacitance. Okay, that's why this is almost the diffusion capacitance only is shown. And the right here, please mute yourself. Someone is unmuted. Okay, so we just saw here these are the different components of the capacitance. How and how we can compute these components of the capacitance we have just seen. Okay, so first review questions. So one can just see here CT and CD exist in reverse bias and forward bias respectively. The resistance of diode under the condition is called under DC condition. Okay, under DC condition is called static resistance. Another thing which we may see, the reciprocal of the slope of the forward characteristic is called dynamic resistance. Okay. So we have AC or dynamic resistance, and we have the DC or static resistance.
So,
Yes.
so I have a few questions. Like when we talk about the mean life of the carriers, then the diffusion length, could you just explain it again?
Okay, so qualitatively we can understand like this here, that the carriers are there, okay, in the P side and N side. From P side, the carriers are injected here, Okay, if they are not injected, even though if they suppose we take a slab of the semiconductor, okay, so we see that these carriers are say, randomly moving here and there, maybe with the following the Brownian motion. Okay, so we have seen that sometimes with the interaction of the atoms, okay, and they may lose energy and actually occupy the location of the holes. Also, there we have seen one thing that there may be thermal energy. Due to that, there may be some covalent bonds break down and some electron hole pairs may be generated. Okay. So we have seen there that electron hole pair generation could be there. Okay. And electron hole pair recombination could be also there. So mean lifetime is that lifetime for which time these carriers live. Okay, so these are quite statistical phenomena. Okay, we cannot exactly find out that which carrier is going to live for what, how much time, but estimates only we can statistical estimates we can find out only. Okay, so few carriers are there and they move here and there and with some probability they will find these locations and recombine and will disappear. So the duration between the generation and recombination of these electrons, okay, these we can call as lifetime. So that's why we are not actually talking about absolute lifetime of these carriers, but rather we talk about mean, something called as mean lifetime period. Okay, mean lifetime period. So that is what it is. So now in our case, actually, the say holes has been injected from p side to the n side, and so we can also discuss for the electrons. Only we just now concentrate for only a single carrier, say holes. Okay. So suppose this is the hole here. Now, as we have seen, we have just discussed that at nearby, we will have nearby to this junction, we will have a huge number of the holes. Okay, and there are also electrons here. Okay, in this n type, we have electrons, and now we have injected holes here. Injected holes means what? Nothing but electrons has been moved from say right side to the left side, leaving behind the vacant places. So now the electrons here in the n type, they will come and occupy these places here. Okay. Uh, so from and due to this, the concentration of the holes which see they will actually disappear. Please keep muted unless you want to ask a question. It's not good to disturb the class, okay? So this is what we see, and that uh, now statistically speaking, there will be some time taken by this uh, to disappear. Okay. So because of this, the concentration of these holes as we go away from this junction to the right side here in the n type material, we expect that this is going to decay. Okay, so that's what we have shown seen one in one of the graph. Okay, like this, the variation was like this. The carriers has been injected from this p side to the n side with pn0 concentration, and far away from here junction, we will have this um, um, carrier constitution Pn0, okay, equilibrium constitution Pn0. In the n type, the whole constitution at equilibrium, okay, that is called as Pn0, which we generally give as Ni square upon Nd, okay. So this is what this is. So this exponentially drops here like this and comes down to this value. So so exponential variation is say is equal to minus I think it is x upon tau p kind of thing is there, and x is the distance as we go from say junction side to the right side here. So at location say I think this is not the correct relation here, and let me go back and see in this. Okay, minus x upon LP. This is minus x upon LP actually. So let us correct this. So minus x upon LP kind of thing variation is there, okay. So at x is equal to LP, the constitution is going to become minus LP upon LP kind of thing, that is exponential minus 1. That's what we have been saying, that the constitution is going to decay by 1 upon e times of this, okay, as we move away from the origin. Origin means the boundary between the n and p types. Okay, so that's what we have seen.
So, and just one small thing. So, when we talk about transition capacitance, then the formula is epsilon A by W. So, epsilon is the electric permittivity, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's all.
So, in the transition capacitance, okay, we have seen this epsilon A upon W, and this W is the depletion width here, and epsilon is the permittivity of the silicon material here, okay. So epsilon is permittivity, and A, which we see in this this is the cross sectional area here. This is the cross sectional area here. So this is just behaving like a parallel plate capacitor, okay. So by this actually we wanted to make the point that the diode not only gives rise to a resistance kind of behavior, but that also gives another behavior that is capacitance because of charge storage. Another thing here we can see is the something called as diode equivalent models here. I think I should restart it. Okay, so diode equivalent circuits now. Suppose we are actually given some diode circuits. Now we have just learned here that diode is a semiconductor device which can allow the current to flow in one direction, oppose the current in the other direction. This gives a resistance like behavior. This also gives a capacitance like behavior. So suppose we are given a diode in a circuit Then how to solve that circuit for say voltage and currents? Okay, because in electronics we are mostly uh, confined to find out the response of the circuits. Okay, semiconductor other circuits having the semiconductor devices. The simplest device we are just learning here is diode. So very simple equivalent circuit we can use without caring about these non-ideal behaviors, that is the resistance or capacitance. So here we can take the uh, fact that when the diode is forward biased, it acts as uh, a short circuit switch. Okay, it is on, and say the current is flowing through this, and in the reverse bias we can assume that this is a kind of switch which is open here. Okay, and doesn't allow any current to flow through it. So this behavior is shown into this graph here, that as voltage, input voltage, okay, or the voltage across the diode, okay, is say greater than 0, then it is completely on, giving a very large current here, infinite current almost. And when the voltage is less than 0, it is reverse biased, and it is off and not allowing a current to flow through it. So current is 0 here. So current is 0 when it is reverse biased, and when it is forward biased, then current is there. Okay, as soon as, so this is the ideal equivalent circuit which can be used, uh, uh, but most of times for simplistic analysis of a given this diode circuit, we can use this, but most of times we avoid the use of this because this is not practical case. Okay, so we here assume the diode as if it is ideal, and the built-in potential we have seen that V gamma, which we have defined for we have seen for silicon around 0.7 volt, and for germanium 0.3 volt. We assume that this is not present in this assumption. Under is simplified equivalent circuit, so we do take the effect of this barrier potential. We include here this into the model. So this is the ideal diode. Along with this, we also add the effect of this potential barrier. Then this is more practical equivalent circuit, and mostly is used. This is called as simplified equivalent circuit. So in this, the difference is that only we must apply a voltage at least equal to the cut-in voltage or this barrier potential to make the diode to be on. Excuse me. Okay, so we must apply this voltage. So as soon as we apply a voltage greater than or equal to this 0.7 volt, then we see the current to flow through this diode, and any voltage less than this makes the diode to remain in the off state, and there is no current. So in either of the case here, if we look at, then the resistance, if we see, offered in this condition is 0 ohm. So this is 0 ohm resistance means short circuit. So essentially, the assumption is here that the diode, as soon as it is on or in forward bias, this is offering a 0 resistance. But in our discussion, we have seen that the characteristics are not so, but the more accurate characteristic is like this here. In the forward bias, we must apply a voltage B gamma to make the diode to on, and in the on condition, we have seen that the current doesn't rise suddenly, but it increases exponentially, as shown over here. In the reverse bias also, we don't see the current equal to 0 exactly, but we see a little current to flow, which we have called as I naught. Okay, so these are the exact cases. So in this reverse bias, we see I naught to flow. In the forward bias, ID to flow, which is exponentially growing with the applied voltage BD. So this is the exact case. Okay, so this is the exact case, but this is impractical to be used for hand calculations. So actually, we are just arguing to have a simple equivalent circuit which can be used for hand calculations, and for that we are just looking for these different equivalent circuits. Okay, which can be used. So more accurate is that we can see here. Okay, if the applied voltage is not rising too much, then in a limited region we can just say that it is almost a kind of linear variation here. Okay, and in this we can assume that this gives a constant resistance which is equal to on resistance of the and this diode. Okay, so or some here something called as average resistance one is showing here, or average. So if we can uh, actually, as we can see that this is not a exact case here, but this is actually a very simplified one, and of course it is equivalent to having a line here. So we are just trying to approximate this exponential variation in a limited region by line here. So that's why this is called as piecewise linear equivalent model. So this linear equivalent model is not applicable to a for a large variation here. For a small variation, we can actually assume this to be correct. So piecewise linear equivalent model. In this, we assume that the diode is not offering, not is like a short circuit here, but gives a finite resistance in the on condition also. So we have this resistance along with this potential barrier and along with this ideal diode. So this is the most practical circuit which can be used uh, for the analysis of a diode circuit. Okay, but because this resistance is quite small, 10 ohms. Suppose we are having a circuit in which we are dealing with kilo ohms kind of resistances. So in as compared to this kilo ohm, we can neglect this merely 10 ohms or 20 ohms or 50 ohms like that. So effectively in calculations, this resistance doesn't affect much, and we may skip this. So for hand calculations, we will see that this simplified equivalent circuit, which consists of ideal diode along with the barrier potential, that is most suitable and most of the times used here. So let us now see a few of the cases how we can actually apply this rule to solve some of the circuits here. Okay, so some simple circuits we are trying to take in. Okay, so say we have a silicon diode here. Silicon diode means the potential barrier is 0.7 volts. Okay, so 0.7 volt means we actually must apply at least 0.7 volt to make this on. So we can replace the silicon diode with this potential barrier here, this potential barrier, and an ideal diode. So in place of this diode, silicon diode, we can assume that as if this ideal diode along with this voltage source is there present. Okay, so this voltage source is very important to understand. Okay, in usage it is easy, but practically let us try to again recapture here what we have seen so far. So in a PN junction, we see that due to the diffusion of carriers across this junction, we have positive charge carriers on the N side and negative carriers on the P side, and because of this we see an inbuilt potential barrier here. So potential yes, potential barrier like this minus plus, which gives a kind of an electric field, intrinsic electric field in this direction. We applied here an external potential source Vd to make it forward bias, which is externally applying a potential across this like this here. Okay, an external electric field is in this direction from positive battery side to the negative battery side. So these external field and internal field both are contesting with each other. So we must apply a voltage Vd greater than this okay, such that this external electric field is able to counter this internal electric field. Okay, so a kind of a part of voltage from this voltage source Vd is expanded to overcome the effect of the internal field here. Okay, so that's why we represent this characteristic as if there is a voltage source present inside of this diode, which is opposing the external voltage source. Okay, so that's why we have a voltage source internally shown here inside the diode with the opposite polarity, that of the internal potential source, potential variation, uh, okay, which overcomes the internal field effects. Okay, so that's why it is here. Once we understand it, then we can very easily do this sum here. Okay, so only we have to replace this diode with this. So ideal diode, when it is on, will be acting like a short circuit. Okay, so we can just remove this diode as well here. Okay, short circuit by short circuit here. So we will have only a voltage source equal to the uh, potential barrier which opposes the external voltage source. Okay, like this. So that's it. Okay, if we are able to understand this part, then we are ready. So actually we have to now, before starting, we must see that what is the voltage source and what is the diode made of. Okay, if it is ideal diode, then its potential barrier is 0. And if it is a real diode like silicon germanium, we have to compare the voltage source with the potential barrier here. So if voltage source strength is less or equal to this potential barrier, then it will be off. And if this potential source is stronger than the potential barrier, then this will be forward bias on. So once this is forward bias, we can replace this diode with this voltage source, okay, which oppose this external voltage source, and we can then have the external battery here and the resistance. So diode actually is removed from the circuit because in the forward bias this acts like a short circuit along with this potential barrier. So we have this equivalent circuit now, 0.7 volt, 8 volt battery here with this polarity here, and 2.2 k ohm resistance over here. Now our circuit is very simple here, which can be tackled efficiently. Okay, so current will flow say in this direction. One can apply KBL into this and write say 8 minus 0.7 minus 2.2 times I is equal to 0. Okay, so if we say that potential source is positive and potential drops are negative, and the current flow is in this direction, then potential drop will be with this polarity here, and then we can write the KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law equation for this. And from here I can be computed very easily. It is going to be equal to 8 minus 0.7 divided by 2.2. 2.2, this is kilo ohms. Okay, so we can put here K, and this is 7.3 upon 2.2 K. Okay, like this. So some milliamperes will be coming here. So this value comes out to be 3.32 milliamperes. So in this way, we can work out the uh, diode circuits. Few more diode circuits one can take here. Now one is using two diodes in series like this with plus 12 volt battery. So plus 12 volt battery one can understand to be connected like this here between this node and the ground. Okay. So silicon again is given here. So silicon has say 0.7 volt of barrier potential, and this is actually a special diode. We have not talked about this diode so far. This is a light emitting diode. So it is made of the compound semiconductors. It's a potential barrier is quite large. Here it is 1.8 volt. So in such a case here, we have to look at the total potential barrier of both diodes, that is 0.7 and 1.8, that is 1.8 plus 0.7, that is 2.5 volt. So we have to compare our potential source now in this condition, in under such a case that potential source is greater or equal to 2.5 volt or not. If suppose the applied potential is say less than this 2.5 volt, then our diodes will be off. Okay, neither of the diodes are going to be on in that case. Okay, so the diode is going to be on only when input is greater than the sum of the both potential barriers, 2.5 volt. So both diodes are going to be on in that case, and then we will see a current to flow through this, as it is so seen here. And then one can again apply the KVL equation here to solve for the current I here.
Sir,
Yes.
sorry, sir, but we have a class now.
Okay, I think the time is over. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We shall stop here, then we can continue our discussion in the coming lectures. Okay, so you can now do some more questions. I think you are ready now to work some more problems based on the diodes. Okay, so thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.